15th of July, this is iflowboy and you're on Warp Drive. I am starting my very first custom livery display show where I will effectively display as many of my liveries as I can throughout these shows, and obviously anybody else that joins the room that has custom liveries can display theirs. So the plan is to bolt out of the pits like I'm doing right now, head around to what's become known as the car park. Now one thing I do have to remember to do here is to turn my fuel down, because I've tried to set the room up to prevent hooning, and so the trick is to turn the fuel on so I've got enough, or turn the fuel mix right down to as lean as it can be, so I have enough fuel to make it to the display area. I don't need to make it back, because I can just exit straight back to the pits. But the idea is to show as many of my liveries as I can, but also, as I said, to allow other custom livery makers to come in and show their liveries. This is not about judging, so it's not like a car show. That's why it's called a car display. And so I'm going to have a very simple format to start with, and that format is simply come here, park your car, leave it on display for, you know, a minute to 90 seconds, something like that, and then I'll pan around the car in a minute when I get myself parked, and that way anybody watching can see the livery. If they like it, they can go to Discovery, or Showcase as it's called. I'm going to let the car roll forward because those parking meters in the way. And as you can see there on my rear spoiler, if I zoom in, let me zoom in? No. Why don't let me zoom in? There you go, iflowboy at YouTube, sorry. If you go there, then you can see the livery and you can download it. No, I will not be turning traction off. Don't need to, buddy. Anyway, so this car is an iteration of a proper race car livery, which was driven in the 90s and contested the Australian Touring Car Championships, I think in 89-90, I believe was the only 2 years, but I could be wrong. And this car was originally done in a white, red and blue livery scheme, and you may have seen it. So what I did was I effectively took it and turned it into a grey, black and white livery scheme. Again, trying to make the clean lines of the livery stand out more. I've got lots of GTRs, particularly R32s it turns out. This one is the V-Spec, as opposed to the Nismo version which you can get in the game. There's probably another version of it, which is just a standard GTR. I'll probably have that as well, but I'm not going to do this in any order. I'm just going to grab them from the garage as they appear and just work my way down. So, yeah. That is the R32. Alright, let's jump out of the... Well, I might just wait a second, there's a car coming. So again, the idea is that anybody else that comes in the room can see the liveries, but also put their livery on display, so... there is a... how do I put it? Pretty bog standard Fast and Furious sort of livery, and here's a guy that just wants to sit around and hoon. I want to make a comment about drivers like this, and that is that there have probably been a billion players that have sat there and done donuts in this game. One, they are not hard to do, they don't require any skill whatsoever. Two, it's pretty boring. And funnily enough, this is called Gran Turismo Racing Simulator, not Burnout Simulator, you know. Anyway, each childish way of playing the game to their own. Okay, I'm going to jump to the next car. Now, I say 350 plus, but I actually have more than that. I don't know exactly how many I do have, but it's more than that. I have 484 cars, as you can see there on the screen. And I think I've probably done about 430 to 440 liveries on those 484 cars, and then there are probably some cars, for example the Valkyrie there, which I'll bring out later, where I've actually done 5 or 6 liveries on that car, but it's a $4 million car, so I haven't gone and spent $20 odd million yet buying 5 or 6 of those cars, but you know, I will eventually. Okay, let's jump to this one, because I just finished this livery as well. Turn the fuel, and then I can go out. So I hope that I get some more people in the room that are here to display liveries rather than just be burnout people. You know, I wish those sorts of players would read the title of a room and figure it out that that's not the kind of room that they're entering. Looks like, no, it wasn't that person, it looked like somebody else that left. But I've set the room up with very high fuel burn, maximum penalties, the whole intent being that this isn't a room for people to come in and do laps. And they'll soon realise after trying to do one lap that they won't have the fuel, and they might actually go back and read the room title and go, oh, that's the kind of room it is. It's amazing how many people don't read it. Anyway, what can you do? You try to give people the information so that they're informed. You might notice my brake pedal flickering, or even the accelerator bar, which is that there on the right flicker. That's because my pedals for my steering wheel, the pedals themselves, collected a bit of dust. It's a Logitech G923, which is only a year and 3 months old, and in the last 4 weeks now I've had to open it up to try and clean out the dust contacts. So it's not exactly a ringing endorsement for Logitech G923 wheels. I've used Logitech wheels since either 2011 or 2010, starting off with a G25 I think it was, or maybe even earlier than that. I think G25. But it's only been since they bought out the G27 I think it was, that this issue started to occur, and I had 2 G29s before going to the 923, and both of those inevitably suffered from some dust getting in between the contacts. Quite disappointing that, you know, this being the newer model, that they weren't able to figure out a way to prevent the dust. They must know it happens. There's too many users around the world with this, you know, with the G29 and the G923 to not be having customers contact them and say, why is this happening? I do want to buy... Oh, I just noticed an error with the livery. The Whittaker's sign is not correct on this side, it's black. I'll fix that. It should be white on both sides, and I've just shared it too. I'm sure that was correct when I saved it. Anyway, damn, I hate it when I do that. I hate it when I make errors. Anyway, yes, so I really hope Logitech will fix it I certainly hope it won't be an issue with the G Pro if I do order it. I was thinking of ordering it. I'm going overseas next week, and plan was to order one when I came back, but we'll see. Certainly I do want to, because the pedals on the G923, the brake pedal in particular, there's, as much as they've tried to make it better from the G29, it still doesn't have a proper progressive feel. It's still too soft and too much travel. And when you compare it to a real car, I put my foot on the brake right now, and I'm experiencing travel of, I don't know, 3 centimeters, maybe 4 centimeters, maybe even more than that. In a car, you don't really get that degree of travel unless you are absolutely hammering the brake. But more importantly, you don't have the same feel with the pedal in the game as you do in the pedal in a car, and that makes a big difference, because you are so used to driving your car and having a brake pedal feel a certain way. Anyway, today's about the car show. So this is actually an iteration of a livery I made for a young player who had a birthday the other day and was commenting on some of my liveries. And he mentioned to me that it was his birthday that day, so I said to him, "Do you want me to make you a livery?" He said, "Yeah, that'd be great." I asked him what he wanted. He said he liked the Nismo GTR and R32 Nismo GTR. And then I sort of gave him some different colours, talked about some different brands because he's from New Zealand, and Whittaker's is a very famous brand of New Zealand candy. It's like a toffee sort of lolly, or a caramel butter sort of lolly. And so I made him a specific livery in a particular colour, had some additional decal graphics on it that indicated it was for him. I had his user ID on the window, for example, and had some other stickers on there that denoted that it was definitely a New Zealand themed car. But I wanted to do a different iteration of it because I liked the design and I wanted to see how it would look in different colours, and so far it looks okay. So that's that car. I don't know whether I'm going to get anybody else coming into the room. Sorry, I just hit the wrong button. And that's okay. I don't mind. Those people that have custom liveries will come and have a look, and those people who are interested in custom liveries might pop in and have a look as well. We'll see. So again, like I said, I'm just going to go along the rows. I'll probably do in this show, I don't know, see how we go, maybe 30, 40, let's see how we go. I probably spent too much time on that car then because I was talking about other topics. But this time I will just let the car do the talking. It's a Trust livery. Trust being a Japanese aftermarket part manufacturer. They're also responsible, I believe, for the G-Ready products, which I think are used on quite a few European cars. I think BMWs in particular, maybe some Porsches as well. To the display, park the car, and then rotate around the car. I don't know what I should say about the livery design themselves. I should talk about how it was created. Will people watching understand it if they've never created a livery? I used to talk about the degree of difficulty of making the livery based on the actual car itself, because making a livery is a combination of factors, and one factor is the livery that you want to make and the kind of things that you want to do on the car, and the other is the car itself in terms of the surfaces and what challenges that might bring to creating the livery. So this is a Trust, as I said, Trust livery on a Nismo R32 GTR. Okay, jump back to the pits. Do it the quick way, save ourselves some time. Moving right along. This is a very recent livery. In fact, I finished this livery, started it and finished it last night. I was actually surprised at how quickly I did this livery. Oops. I wish I could change the view before coming out of the pits. I apologise but I guess it gives you a chance to look at the in-car interior of the car. So this car is obviously a McLaren. It's a 650S Group 4 race car, and as you can see by the livery, it's got the current Formula 1 style of livery, although I know they've just done a chrome flashback livery, but because I'm leaving the view at the back because I wanted to have a bit more impact with this livery design when I get to the display area. I'm surprised my pedals haven't flickered at all since I came into this room, maybe since I'm not driving hard. Anyway, when I park the car you will see why this livery is a little bit different and unique. Don't worry about the lines, this is all about pace, I guess. Try and get through the cars to give as many views as I can. So what I've done with this car is I've done a combination. So I've done their old Formula 1 Vodafone, sorry about the chrome paint which is reflecting the sunlight, the old Vodafone style livery at the front, and then I have infused the new McLaren F1 livery style at the back of the car. Not sure what else to tell you about it. It may look like it was a complicated livery to do, but it actually ended up being a lot simpler than you might think. And it's just a bit of fun. Bit of a fun livery, I guess. What, I tried to do, you can't see in this light, I don't think, moving around this side. I've tried to make it look like, the two of them were effectively slammed together or fused together. In the middle there where the black is, there's some little edge lines, but you can't see them in this light. Yeah. Okay, time for the next car. So far nobody else has joined the room. That's a good thing or a bad thing. A little bit self-indulgent, but it's not intended to be. Like, I'd be more than happy if other custom livery creators came in here and started bringing their cars out and doing exactly what I'm doing. And, you know, I'll definitely be... oops, I didn't do the fuel thing. Bad me. This is a RS5. Oops, that's not good. I don't have damage on, so that's okay, but you can see the penalties are on. So again, that's all about discouraging people who want to come in here with a, I don't know, a Tomahawk or a Formula One or another high-powered VGT car to try and do laps. Hopefully penalties and the fuel will be enough to deter them. But getting back to what I was saying, yeah, if somebody else brings their liveries in, I'll definitely be zooming around and showing them so that you get to see all of them. But for the moment, it's just me. DRS on this car, so... sorry. Not gonna let me do it, is it? No. Got to go faster to actually tilt the wing. Basically, that rear wing folds flatter when you activate DRS to reduce the drag to give you faster velocity or top speed. Sorry, bad parking on my part. I'm worried about the lines. I'm more worried about the meters at the back blocking the view. Roll forward a bit. Alright, that's better. Seems nobody else in the room. So this is again a fantasy livery, Mobile 1 style on a DTM Audi RS5. Fun cars to drive if you're in the game but you don't yet have this car. They are quite fun to drive. I'm not the world's biggest Audi fan, but I do enjoy driving this particular car. And again, I just, with all of my liveries, I just, you know, get an idea in my head and off I go. No rhyme or reason to it. Had my mate ask me the question today about why the black stuff around the, you know, the vertical background to the Mobile 1, the actual one in the decal on either side of the car. I just said, I just had an idea that I should do that background and blend it in. So I did. Alright, let's move on. This is another RS5, so I've got 3 of these. I don't know where they're going to appear in the order, but this will signify the end of the first row, and there's 6 of those, so if I can get through another 7 or 8 of those in this broadcast, or 9 rows, that will have covered us for 54 odd cars, or approximately 1/5, or it's more likely to be 1/8 of all of the cars that I've done. Sorry. So this is using one of the carbon fibre paints that you can get in the premium paint section, which you can access in the GT Auto section for those that are new to the game or don't know the game at all. There's various sections where you can buy cars, compete in special events, get your licenses, unlock certain things in the game, buy cars if I haven't already said that, and then obviously buy parts and buy paint and wheels and all those sorts of things so that you can add to your livery creations. So this one has got, I don't have many that have the carbon paint. I don't know how many cars I do have. It would be less than 5 where I've done the carbon paint, but I just felt like doing a different version of, you know, Decra touring cars, because Decra touring cars have been pretty popular in the game with people creating liveries. You can kind of see the carbon fibre colour there, or the weave, maybe you can, I don't know, make it closer. every time I get close, the light doesn't show it. Anyway, you have to take my word for it. The paint is a carbon fibre weave paint. But yeah, I wanted to do a different style of Decra livery, so this is quite different from most of them, which are, you know, like white, etc. And you know, I co-themed it with BP for the green and a bit of yellow in there as well. Anyway, I'm not going to spend long telling much about each of the car. It's all about just showing the car, and then people can kind of go, I like it or I don't like it. If you don't like it, that's okay. Everybody has different tastes. But if you like it, it's uploaded. You can go to Showcase, type in iflowboy, iflowboy, and select Audi, pick RS5, and my liveries will pop up. You can download them. Alright, next. It is the next RS5, how about that? That's good, we're getting them out of the way. Fuel. Sorry I have to do this every time. I can't preset it to run lean, so every time I change cars I have to go through and do that to make sure we don't run out of fuel on the way to the display. Probably wouldn't, but just to be safe. There is, actually, I have another RS5 livery, which is a Vodafone fantasy livery. So when I say fantasy livery, what that means is that they're not real liveries, or they're not replica liveries, so be it race car or otherwise. There are just liveries. Sorry, that's my weekly vibrating. It's a 923 thing. They're just themed liveries that I have created out of thin air. Now, some of them might be iterations of liveries. Many of them will make use of popular, you know, core decals like Red Bull, other products, etc. But they are effectively fantasy liveries that I've created. Yeah, so just to explain that to people that aren't familiar, sorry about that. So this, as you can see, is a Texaco livery. Texaco being an American oil/petroleum company. I'm sure they do lots of other things. I'm not an expert on Texaco, but I like their logo. Yeah, probably a good thing to say that if I've used particular logos or brands, it's not necessarily me endorsing the brands or stating that I am a fan of the brands. What it really means is that I like the look of their logos, so it's more like a nod to the graphic designer that created their brand logos than anything. Yeah, anyway, so this is a Texaco car. You can see I've got some layered decals in there. Just there you can see those grey coloured layered decals. Again, I don't want to bore people by sitting here and talking about each livery in detail. Yeah, so I'm just trying to give you a good look. Okay, next. The one after this we won't be seeing, I just noticed in the list. The reason for that is that livery is actually not finished. It's actually a livery that I'm working on for a race that I'll be in later today, an endurance race with a group called Vertex Racing. And as I bring some of these liveries out, you may notice that there are decals that say Vertex Racing. This particular one is actually a livery that I modified. No, actually, I did specifically make this for a Twitch streamer that plays this game, and that is Tiny Turnip, lovely young lady that, as I said, streams with the game, and she does some fun things. They're not your normal racing series type things, but they bring a certain angle of entertainment with them. So anybody that wants to do something different in the game rather than out and out racing, she does races, but just go and seek her out, find her room. It's Tiny Turnip, or do a search for her in what is her actual user ID? I think it's Tiny Turnip 13, but please don't quote me on that. But anyway, ping her a friend request, and I'm sure she'll reply and accept the request, and then you'll be able to find her rooms. I know in particular she does a broadcast on Thursdays, European time. I think it's early morning perhaps, but I don't know for sure. But anyway, ping her. If you're on Discord, search for her on Discord, because she definitely has a Discord channel, and yeah, anyway, like I said, what she does is fun and it's different, so all credit to her for doing that. Yeah, so this is just a Porsche 991 GT3 RS. Like I said, I'm not going to go into details about the liveries. You can see the Tiny Turnip logo, and that, I guess, yeah, it decided for me what kind of colour scheme I would do with the car. This is a wide body too, by the way, this car. So you see the guards are more pronounced than the actual standard car. It's a nice little feature that they put into the game. Makes it a bit more fun, makes the cars look a bit more aggressive. So just so people are wondering and thinking those guards are wide, that's why. This car is the car that I talked about earlier that I made 2 days ago for a young New Zealand person who was having a birthday and who liked some of my liveries, and so I sent him as a, I don't call it a present, but just because it was his birthday, I said I'd make him a car. And this is the car that I made for him. And you'll notice that it's quite similar to the earlier Whittaker's car that I showed. I don't normally drive with this view, but I'm doing it so you can see the car in motion. Diff lock up then. I'm trying to be fast to get through these cars. I'm mindful that I'm maybe talking too much. Like I said, very similar looking to the earlier car, just a different colour scheme, different rims I believe on the car, and it's a custom colour. What do I mean by that? For those that don't know the game, what it means is you've got a colour palette in the game. There are premium paint colours that you can buy and you cannot modify them, but then there's a colour palette, and what you can do with the colour palette is you can go into another tool, and that tool allows you to play with the translucency and colour saturation is probably the best way to explain it. Anyway, it allows you to come up with a lot of different colours, you know, theoretically millions of different colour shades. And so this is one of those that I've created that's not a standard colour. Yeah. Alright. Next car. Having a drink. One thing about talking is your mouth gets dry, so excuse me for a sec. Next car, next car. Wish I could grab a drink and change cars. Of course, we only have 2 hands. Something different. So this is oh, nitrous. Because it has overtake. But it's not nitrous. I'm gonna have to change the settings to allow this car to come in. Now it's just gonna take a minute to update this. Now I should be able to bring that car in. I believe. I hope. Hope it won't restrict me because of weight or power or anything. I don't think I put any settings on. So this is one of the formula cars, and it's a Japanese formula. So most people are probably familiar with Formula 1, and you might even be familiar with things like Formula 2, Formula 3, Formula 5000, Formula Ford, and I'm sure there's a whole stack of other formulas. This is the new version of Formula that they've started in Japan called Super Formula 23. I'm certainly not an expert on it, so I'm not quite sure what the differences are, though I suspect that these cars might be running slightly less downforce than the older or more established formula, which was Super Formula 19. Anyway, probably best that I don't say any more than that, because I've probably reached the extent of my knowledge on the topic. Fun cars to drive, love driving them, especially around here. You can really enjoy this particular track. But the purpose of today is to show the livery. This is an Aston Martin Formula 1 iteration. So I talked earlier about fantasy liveries. This is again a fantasy livery, but I have taken some inspiration from the Aston Martin Formula 1 team. But as I pan around, you'll see, if you are familiar with the actual Aston Martin Formula 1 car, you'll appreciate that the only thing that's in common is probably the core colour is quite similar to the core colour they use, and a lot of the sponsor decal logos. Apart from that, this thing looks nothing like their car, and that's on purpose. I wanted to do, as I often do, I wanted to use my own creativity and come up with a design. Anyway, enough said. I think I would have got more people in here if I'd mentioned in the room name, which I can go and change, YouTube or something like that, streaming. That would bring a lot more people in, but again, it's not a big deal. I hope I'm not zooming around too quickly. I'm trying to give you a good view of the car. And we move on. So this is the brand new Aston Martin Valkyrie road car. Now, for those of you that follow motoring, you'll know all about this car. For those of you that don't, you've probably never heard of it. It's not like Valkyrie has been a car model that Aston Martin have put out for decades. It's a brand new car. from the ground up, brand new design. And as you can see, it doesn't really look like a road car. It looks more like a Le Mans race car. From this angle, we probably won't be able to see what you need to see to try and understand the core design principles of the car. But imagine a Formula One style engined car with all of the undercarriage aerodynamics that they term ground effects being applied to the car using other terminologies such as venturis, etc., channels, etc., all designed to create a certain amount of air pressure under the car to effectively suck the car to the ground, hence the term ground effects. So this car was released literally, owners started taking possession of these cars literally in the last few weeks around the world. I don't know how many of them were made. I believe they were all sold before the first one was ever delivered to a customer. You can see them on YouTube if you go and search Valkyrie. There are some. Anyway, so I've done a McLaren F1 style design, which was West, which I believe are a brand of cigarettes, and I'm not endorsing cigarettes in any way, shape or form. Anybody out there that smokes, I know the struggle is trying to give it up. Not easy, but it's really not good for you. For anybody thinking of starting smoking, don't. You'll just end up costing yourself a lot of money, putting your health at risk, and yeah, anyway, I'm not here to preach. So yes, I've actually done 5 or 6 different liveries. I can't show them all to you because I have to actually exit the room to change the liveries on this car, and it is the only version of the car that I have. The way the game works is you need a for every livery that you want to bring out into a room or a lobby, such as what this is a lobby. You actually need to have the livery on a car already that you own. So if you want to have 5 liveries for a particular car, you've got to buy 5 cars. Otherwise, you've got to jump in and out of the lobby to change the liveries over from one of your, one car. Sorry, change the car's livery. That's what I mean to say. Yeah. So that's the Valkyrie. Very fast, by far and away the fastest road car in the game, and yeah, like I said, kind of fun to drive. What I'm thinking is, will I actually get through? Oh, let's do then. Sorry, my bad. Went into settings. What I'm thinking is, how many cars will I get through, because it is really early in the morning here and I haven't really slept. I'm not trying to sing a sub-story here, but what I'm really trying to say is that I'm actually starting to feel the effects of not sleeping. So my brain is kind of sending me signals to say, maybe it's time you should think about resting. So what I might do is I might try and push through another, I don't know, 5 or so cars, and then I might stop this broadcast, and then later on when I'm back online I might fire this room up again. I might change the naming of it to try and promote getting more people in here, because again I want anybody that watches these broadcasts or comes into the room to see other livery creators' liveries, not just mine. This is a WRX STI, I think 2004. It's a recent car model that was added to the game, and along with the Valkyrie, actually, it was launched into the game with the Valkyrie. So this is the only one of this model that I own, and this is the only livery that I've created for this model. because I haven't bought any more cars, basically. Anyway, I thought I'd theme it around Sony. I did it again. I've got to park in between to get rid of the parking meters at the back distorting, or sorry, getting in the way of the vision. Yeah, so I did a Sony theme. Bit of PlayStation, bit of Sony. Got a theme. Anyway, just going to show it. What I think I'll do is I'll do 3 rotations around and then I'll jump straight out. Hopefully that's enough for you to see the livery. Okay. It's actually good having that car there that doesn't have the completed livery, because it's acting as a bit of a border or a divider, so that I know which car is the next car to display. Quite handy, actually. Oh. I'm hanging in there, but my brain is saying, oops. Sleep is a great option right now, my brain is telling me. This is a little Honda S660. They, I believe, are referred to as kei cars, K-I-E. I suspect that's a Japanese word for small or city or something like that, because that, if you like, category or group of cars are all like micro city cars, from what I understand. I'm not fully versed. I learnt this over the last couple of weeks. But anyway, another guy in the game that runs a series of races, usually on a Thursday night, called Steve-O. Each week he does what he calls a livery competition. It's a themed thing to match with the racing that he's doing that night. And this week it was on, oops, sorry, my bad, pushing the wrong button. It was on, you know, beer, basically. So, and this was the car that you had to do it on. So I thought, just for a bit of fun, I'll do one. I think he publishes the images on the GT7 community Facebook page. So this car's probably got a photo of it there. I have no idea whether I went any good with my livery. I haven't looked at the page. But, yeah, just a bit of fun. I thought I'd do one. And because it's Kilkenny and it's, I guess, quite an old, I think they call it stout, that sort of beer, I tried to infuse a bit of timber, so you can see the timber look decals on the what they call the car hip, and down the bottom there. Anyway, I'm trying not to talk about the liveries, I'm just trying to show you the liveries. I just feel like I can't sit here in silence. It would seem odd in a broadcast if I'm not saying anything. Anyway, that's an S660. Yeah, I think I'm going to get to the end of this row and then I'm going to have to quit the broadcast prematurely because I'm really struggling. May not sound like it, but yes, my brain and my eyes are definitely telling me at whatever time it is, 5 o'clock in the morning, what time is it? 5:45 in the morning, that I've been awake for 24 hours and I should rest. I did it again. That's just a sign of me being tired, I think. Ford Focus. I talked about Vertex Racing. If you can read that, I can see my throttle pedals now starting to stick a bit. Interesting. If you can see that decal on the back there, you can it says Vertex Racing. This car livery I modified. I didn't create it from scratch, but there was a particular Vertex Racing series that took place. I'm on sports tyres. That's my bad. Excuse me. It took place a couple of weekends ago, and Ford Focus was one of the cars. Whoa. Yeah, sports hard. It's not watching. And so I took this livery. Oh, did it again. Keep pushing the wrong button. I'm sure that's just because I'm tired. And I created this Vertex Racing version for that event. So, probably one of the few cars so far in Gran Turismo 7 that I've used pink. Did a fair few of them in Gran Turismo Sport, but not so much here. Anyway, that may change. So I do quite like purple as a colour, especially that metallic purple that you can see on this car. Quite like that colour, it's quite striking to me. Anyway, that's 2 times round. See the Vertex Racing decals. Vertex Racing, great bunch of guys. All really friendly, all really respectful with their racing, all very helpful as well, and very patient too. So great bunch of guys. Really enjoy chatting with them, racing with them, having a laugh with them. Alright. Oh, did it again. It's just tiredness that's causing me to make those fundamental errors. Some of the liveries, like this one in particular, are going to appear very basic, and the reason for that is that they are not actually finished liveries, i.e. I've made a really quick livery to participate in a particular something in the game, and so I've gone in and I've created the livery literally in minutes. And I think this one in particular, I think I created from scratch in about 7 minutes. So it is a very, very basic livery, which at one point I'll probably go back and I'll probably adequately finish so that it actually is, you know, reasonable customized livery. But it is what it is, and it's in the list, so it's going to be shown. What about the tyres? Oh, it didn't work. I was going to see if I could continue the drift around, but front wheel drive, isn't it? I don't know. What's a Sirocco, I think, this car. Volkswagen, yes. Sean, it says Sirocco R right there in front of you. Yeah, Sirocco R. Again, another Vertex Racing event. You can see what I mean. I don't think you can get much more basic than that as a livery. Let's whip through this. Not really much to see, and there's certainly nothing to tell you about it. Two to go, according to this. This is one of the liveries that I quite like, just because of the way the colour works, and also because of the style of what I created. Big McLaren fan. I think they make some great cars. They're probably not my favourite Formula 1 team, but road cars, yes, I do like them. They're probably, in terms of supercars, probably my second choice maybe even my first choice, maybe I'd put them in front of Lamborghini. Like that makes a difference that I'm saying I would put them in front of Lamborghini, but just for me, for personal preference. When I was younger, Lamborghini was absolutely my hero brand in terms of supercars, but I think I've come to appreciate McLarens as well. I do have, I think it's probably a bit of a stretch for me to say he's my friend, but I do know a few people, and I do know one guy a bit more than the others who owns a McLaren. I don't. And he owns a very nice McLaren actually. Socket steering wheel. Some of these cars, sorry, I'm having to hold my steering wheel with one hand, otherwise it'll start making rattling noises. Just some of these little idiosyncrasies in the game with some of the cars, quite frustrating, where the wheel decides to have a mind of its own. Okay, let's see if that fixes it. Yes, it did. Good. Okay, so yeah, so I really like McLarens. Like I said, I really like this livery. I like the combination of the red, the yellow, and the black, and in combination with Johnny Walker as a decal. And then the combination of that with the particular rims and the colouring of the rims. To me, it kind of pops out at me, and I'm quite comfortable with other people not feeling the same way. Surely that's 3 times around. Let's go. Okay, now good. Now I think this is going to be the last one before I quit this broadcast, and I didn't mean to, but when I started, I didn't actually feel as tired as I feel right this minute. But I guess that's what happens when you're awake all night, that all of a sudden that fatigue can just hit you. And so I will show this one, and then I'll call it quits. I'll know exactly where I'm up to in terms of going through my liveries, and I'll come back on later and continue. This is definitely not planned, but this is my one and only channel themed livery. I don't believe I have any other warp drive themed liveries, and warp drive, as I said, is the name of my YouTube channel. My real car has the number plate warped, so it's a custom plate. I haven't actually created a decal in any of the graphic tools that you can use to create the decals that you see people use and apply to the games. So I've had to make up a sort of kind of graphic for the decal. So I could probably approach somebody that I know that does do a lot of creation of decals and see if they would make me a decal, but for now it's this. So yeah, so this is the warped drive McLaren 650S Group 4, just like the previous car. Again, I didn't want to go too crazy with it. The emphasis was on making sure that warp drive was, you know, the obvious and most visible aspect of the livery. And, you know, again, not wanting to be too bright or daring with the colours or colour scheme. I'm going backwards, sorry. These wheels are probably not the wheels that I had on it. I just realised that I swapped the cars around and I didn't change the wheels. I'll fix that, because they're not really suiting the car, to be honest, in my opinion. Okay, so with that, I'm going to stop this broadcast. For anybody that might watch this video as they look at my channel and see the videos. Again, I want to start making more videos, but it's kind of like push-pull or cause and effect or give to get kind of scenario, whereby if I don't have enough subscribers, it's kind of like, well, what's the point of creating the video? You know, I'm living the moment, I'm experiencing the moment. The creation of the video is more for other people to watch and hopefully find enjoyable or, you know, informative or whatever. So, you know, please feel free to hit the subscribe button. It doesn't cost you anything, but it does let me know that people are interested in what I'm trying to do, and that maybe you watch one or two of the videos. But as importantly, please use the comment section in YouTube to let me know if there's something you'd like me to do, see, or show. And what I mean by that is, if you're new to the game but you don't know how to create liveries and you want somebody to show you how to do things, maybe put a comment in and say, hey, could you do a YouTube broadcast talking about how to create a livery, or how to use the livery editor tool, or how to select wheels, how to buy this, whatever it is. I'm happy to do it. So yeah, really appreciate if you would do that, and really appreciate you taking the time to have a look at my content and give me any feedback. Please keep the feedback respectful, but be honest. You know, we don't learn or grow or develop without getting honest feedback. So yeah, hope to hear from you. But for now, this tired person is going to finish this broadcast. Wish you all well. Hope that you all stay safe and be kind to each other. And I will see you for the next video. Take care and bye for now.